I'm Jenny. I'm a coach and NLP practitioner, and I help people thrive, not just survive, to have the life that they've always dreamed of. Is it me? Am I unreasonable? Perhaps I just expect too much. Or maybe I am just too much. Or maybe I'm not enough. I've never really been enough. Why does nobody notice me? I do for everyone else, but they don't do it for anything for me. Why don't they want to do things for me? Because I do stuff for them. Maybe I do expect too much. Do any of these thoughts sound familiar? They're all things that I have said to myself and thought to myself, but they're also things that clients say to me all the time. Why am I like this? Is it just me? If you feel this way and you have these thoughts, the chances are that you struggle with boundaries, you struggle with saying yes to everything, saying no to nothing, or perhaps the opposite. So saying yes and no can be interchangeable as to where your boundaries are. It could be that you feel like you always have to do for others, and if you don't do for others, they'll do nothing for you, but they still don't do it back because their expectations are different. And perhaps you probably don't really know who you are because you spent so long pleasing everyone else. You spent so long trying to do the right thing and meet everyone else's expectations that you don't really know what your own expectations are for yourself, and you don't really know who you are anymore. You may feel as if you've been squashed into a box for years, like you're this coiled up spring ready to jump out, but unfortunately you're held back in by the expectation of others. They might not like it if you speak up. People might not like you if you start to say things because you haven't said anything for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. You kept quiet. So what if you upset them? And then if you upset them, that just might not be good. Like, you can't cope with upsetting people because you're the one that doesn't upset people. You're the one that keeps the peace. You're the one that stays quiet to suit everybody. So what if you upset them? And it might just be too uncomfortable to change. It's changing. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. So you've put up with it this long. Maybe you should just stay as you are. But you're not happy. So is that an option? It can be quite lonely. You can be surrounded by people but feel very, very disconnected because you're getting nothing back. You know, when you look on Facebook and you see all those pictures and there's like the big party and there's like 12 people there and they've all gone out for dinner, and you think, why don't I ever do any of those? I never get invited to those things. I never go to those parties. Why not me? Because I do things for people, but I just don't have those friendships. And maybe you see the Instagram photos of the holidays. Oh, you look at those and you think, well, how did people get that life? And you look at these amazing jobs they've got and they think, well, how did they do that? I would like to do that, but I'm not confident enough to do that. I definitely couldn't do it. This is definitely not for me. I'm safe where I am. It's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's okay. Yeah, so it's fine. And then there's that coach. You know, the coach, the one that looks like they've got it all sorted. That coach that sort of comes on and they're so full of happiness and vibrancy and they're really motivated and motivational, but you can't be like that because they're just like that. Like, that's just them. They're naturally like that, right? Coaches are just naturally out there. They're okay with Facebook. They're okay with putting their pictures on. It's a bit of a quandary, isn't it? What do you do? Because all these people are living this life that you quite like to have, but there's no way you can have that. Like, it's just never going to happen. So where'd you go from there? So what if life could actually be different? What if you could have more friends? What if you were able to speak up in work and you didn't have to sit in the back keeping quiet? What if you were able to say no when people asked something of you? What if you were able to say yes when you really wanted to do something but you were feeling too shy, embarrassed, unconfident, as if people might judge you if you said yes. What happens then? Well, that's when the fun begins. As a coach, I love this moment. It's the moment when people think, what if it can be different? And this is when we start to design your life for you. And you design it, and I support you to design it. Because I tell you something, my life was not always so joyful, and not every day is joyful. This month has been a hard month emotionally for me. It hasn't been easy, but after years and years and years of personal development, I know the tools to get out of it really much more quickly. And yesterday for me, everything just snapped again, and I just felt that joy and that happiness and that knowledge of where I'm going, which I haven't had for the last month. And it has honestly been a really tough month for not knowing and feeling like I should. So the first question is, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in life? What do you want to be to yourself and to those around you? And I'm not talking about a slave. And what do you want to do in life? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to look back on in your life and think, yes, I did that? Have a think about that. And what do you want to have? And some people struggle with haves because they don't feel they deserve to have things or have joy or happiness. So what do you want to have? And what really lights you up? And if lighting up feels a bit scary, like, oh, that's a bit much. I'm not sure about being light up. That's being lit up's quite dramatic. I just want to be happy. So what does happiness mean to you? I want you to write down what happiness means to you. So I want you to write a list of how will you know when you're happy? What will you be doing? What will you be seeing? What will you be hearing? What's around you? What will you be feeling when you're happy? And I talk to my clients about this quite a bit because happiness is really subjective. One person's happiness is another person's misery. So what would make you happy? And sometimes my clients say to me, I've never really experienced happiness. I don't know what happy feels like to describe it or to know if I've got it. They know anxiety. So a lot of us know anxiety. And when we know anxiety, we're that one step closer to experiencing happiness. That must sound really weird. But anxiety and excitement are the same physical feeling in your body. It's the butterflies, it's the stomach churning, it's the tight chest, it's the quickening breathing. That physical manifestation of excitement is the same as anxiety, and anxiety the same as excitement. So if you can feel anxiety, you can also feel excitement. How weird's that? That must sound a bit crazy. I thought it sounded crazy, but it made total sense to me. So if you could trick your brain into thinking you're excited instead of anxious, that's one step closer to perhaps having some happiness and how a feeling of happiness might be. And when we're dealing with emotion shifts, sometimes we need those steps in between. We don't just get to happiness. Quite often we'll get to calm first, perhaps, or relaxed, or what else could, even motivated could get us closer to happiness. So what I would like you to try is when you're feeling anxious about something, tell yourself you're excited. So I'm excited I'm going to the shops because I know that when I come back, I'm going to have food in the fridge and I can prepare something for dinner. It's a long shot, I know. But I used to have a real issue when I had postnatal depression with shopping. I felt anxious all the time shopping. And it took years and years and years for that to disappear. And I still sometimes get it. So that's why I've used that example. I've got to speak at work tomorrow. Oh God, I feel so anxious. No, I feel really excited because if I speak at work tomorrow, I might have a really positive impact on the business and that might be great for my career. Oh, I'm really anxious about calling that person or going to that party. Like, oh gosh, that party. Oh, yeah, I feel anxious. Oh, no, I feel excited actually because I'm going to that party and I might have a great time and I might meet some new people. And meeting new people is quite difficult, but actually it's also quite exciting. So I feel excited. So see how we can change those things by telling ourselves we're excited instead of anxious. And I had a moment this last week where something came up and it was a new potential client. I was like, oh, I saw that and I felt really anxious. And my partner went, you didn't feel anxious, you feel excited. I was like, oh, you're right. I do feel excited. I felt really excited. But I've spent so many years telling myself that I felt anxious that I got the two feelings mixed up in that moment. And it felt like anxiety. And as soon as Matt said, well, actually, it's not, it's excitement, I was like, you're right. Actually, it genuinely is excitement. I just got the two mixed up. So when we can learn the feeling of excitement and take on board the feeling of excitement, we can learn to be that one step closer to happiness. So it doesn't always have to start straight away with happiness, but have a think about what might help you get towards happiness. It could be peacefulness. That could be a thing. It could be just relaxing. It could just be feeling at ease with yourself. All those things could build up to a picture for you of happiness. So now you know what happiness could feel like. You can also imagine what someone else who you see as a happy person is doing. You can look at them and think, well, what are they doing to be happy? How are they happy? And you can start looking and observing happy people and seeing what they do. You could even ask them, what makes you look so happy? You might find they're not as happy as they appear, but you might also find some brilliant secrets to their happiness. And the other thing you have to look at is, what are you willing to sacrifice in your life today in order to find that happiness? And that might sound really harsh. What do you mean I've got to sacrifice something? But it could be some security. It could be a secure job. It could be a secure relationship that's not really serving you very well. It's not making you happy, but it's secure. You could have to sacrifice for the time being around some people. There might be people that you have to lose from your life permanently, and there might be some that you have to put at arm's length in order to gain the happiness that you can feel and get that habit of happiness going. So what are you willing to sacrifice to get the life that you really want? And if the answer is nothing, then that's absolutely fine. Nobody has to change. You can honestly stay exactly as you are, and you will get through life, and it will be okay, and it will be fine. And as long as you know that you have made that choice, that is not a problem. Do not do it for anyone else. But also don't not do it because you're worried about what other people will think about you if you do. So if you're worried about all of this, there are definitely things that you can do. I've seen my clients move from literally 0 out of 10 happiness when they started. This was what they said to me. And in the 11 months we coached together, they got to 9 out of 10 happiness. In 11 months of working, creating actions, they knew that one mark was missing, because of course I asked the question, as all good coaches do, what would make it a 10? And they know what the 10 is. They just weren't at a stage to be able to implement that right at that moment. But all of those things have now, several months later, it's been reported back that they've started moving too. So if you want that, you can have it. If this all feels a bit overwhelming and a bit like crazy and like this can never be a thing, I completely get it. I understand it can be a huge leap from where you are today to where you actually want to be, and seeing that whole picture can feel massive. So if it is feeling massive, please book an introductory call. I can show you how the process works, and I can show you that it's possible. In the meantime, if you enjoy my videos, please like, subscribe, hit the buttons, they're on the screen. Do all of those great things. I really appreciate your support and you following me. And remember to have a really powerful day.